All right. The man, the myth, the legend, Rupert Guiness is about to sit down in this chair with me, and we're just going to talk about the ride towards resilience and specifically the route. Why am I talking to Rupe? Well, he's done race across America, he's done race across Australia, the Indy something or other. We'll ask him about that later. He's a good mate. He's been a supporter of the Mental Wheels Foundation over the years, and someone who's got a lot of knowledge in these back-to-back long riding efforts. So I'm going to sit down. I'm really looking forward to it. He's also a really good guy. We're both a huge lover of rosé, so we're going to have a little glass of rosé and a chat, and I'm going to pick his brain, and I hope you enjoy this little chat, catch up, and I guess a bit of an interview. Yeah. G'day guys, I'm here with Rupert Guiness, the legend. I've known Rupe for a long time, in fact we've been in front of the camera once before. It was like 10 years ago when I had a podcast called One for the Road With, remember that?
I had a bit more hair then too.
But obviously coming up to the ride toward resilience, I wanted to get someone in to have a little chat about the route, about my training and about how to get ready for a bit of an epic 1700 kilometres. So thanks for coming in and having a chat with me, mate.
Oh, it's exciting, Bonnie. Just looking at the route, it's gets the heart racing a bit. I'm sure yours will be along the way.
Yeah, it's fluctuating pretty heavily at the moment. Mate, I guess let's have a little chat about, you did race across the America last year?
Yes.
Yeah. And obviously it's a fairly big lead up to that event, right? You're probably training, a good 6 months out?
Yeah, at least. In many ways, I guess you could say it was a 4-year lead up, because after I did the 2 Indy Pacs, or one and a half Indy Pacs, and then COVID, I was going to do it in 2020.
Yeah.
And then we did the virtual RAM instead, and then I was going to do it in 21, and then we couldn't go because of the travel ban. So we did the Darwin to Adelaide ride with the loop around Uluru, and then 22 got to RAM. Obviously didn't finish RAM day 3 very early. I was a DNF. And then obviously got to do it in 23 and managed to finish it. But I'd say that all the experiences I had from the 1.5 Indy Pacs and then the other ultra rides that I did, everything I learnt came together to get that one finish in RAM.
Yeah.
So in many ways, it was not just a 4 years, in some ways it was a 6-year journey.
Yes, right. Yeah. And the last one was pretty epic. We had a chat, we went down to the Dirty Warney recently, and you were telling me about the DNF. Can you sort of elaborate on that?
Yeah.
On how that affected you and how it affected that, with your mental space and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, well, that's in 22, the DNF. As I said, it came on early on day 3, and I was having some nerve trouble in my hands, and it was going up my arm, and then I couldn't balance myself on the handlebars very well. And in RAM, which is a supported event, basically, if you're the rider, you give the crew and the crew chief the full authority to make the judgment calls, because you inevitably are not in the right frame of mind to make a lot of these calls. Nathan, he made the right call and took me off the road, because it's not just I was a danger to myself, but the anxiety that your support crew lives through when they see the rider in duress and their possible risk. You can't underestimate that as well. It's for their sake as well. So the DNF came, and while it was only day 3, I was still fatigued, obviously, and the heat had been, up in the high 40s, nudging into the 50s, and I, was suffering from dehydration as well. Anyway, it all came together, and then when I was pulled, the realisation that I was out, it was like a cocktail of disappointment, shame, embarrassment, fatigue as well, and accountability, all these mixed emotions, like this huge cocktail of negative emotions. And it really took the stuffing out of me mentally. And I think that after a couple of days, when I had time to think about what I wanted to do I just compartmentalise it and say that's enough? I had a crack at RAM, it was too hard for me, which would have been fine, and move on, or do I want to have a second crack? So I figured I wanted to go back and have a second go, and in the next few days, as we worked our way up towards to the finish, and just could want to go and see the finish anyway. I realised I wanted to have another crack. So to do that, I had to compartmentalise the negativity of the emotions, of the disappointment, and then look at the performance objectively as to areas that I felt that I or us had not performed as we could have, or we could have done better. We did as well as we could with what we knew.
Yes.
You know, like a lot of these things with life. And then I remember distinctly targeting those areas, and then perceived, you know, at first call they looked like you call them weaknesses, and I thought the first thing I'm going to do is not call them weaknesses, call them areas of growth, a more positive affirmation rather than the negative affirmation you get if it's a weakness. You know, that reinforces the disappointment. So areas of growth, have fun with it, and the basic conditioning was the same template of conditioning. So got into that and had a great time having a second crack, and managed to finish, just scraped through the time limit of RAM, which is not easy to beat.
Well,
I was the last finisher, but at least I finished.
And tell me about the emotion of that finishing when you actually did finally finish it.
Well, funny enough, you know, you get such a build up over time of wanting to finish something. When you finally achieve it, you're still fatigued in a different state. And, you know, it's kind of like, I think there's a relief to it that you actually finished it. Although leading up until those last kilometres, like RAM is 4,800 kilometres, and you know, for my age group, like I'm 62 now, so over 60, so I was 61, you had to finish in 12 days and 21 hours. On the last day, up to the last 2 days, I was well ahead of the time limit, and suddenly I had Sherman's neck, which people don't know is when you can't hold your head up, the muscles in your neck and shoulders give way. And really I had to hold my head up like this. We tried different ways to keep my head up, using a bike tube wrapped around my head at the back. We tried gaffer tape, we had a neck brace. None of them really worked. So at the end of the day I had to hold my head up. And then in the last night, I started to sort of lose it mentally a bit. I started to think that maybe I was going to be out of the time limit. I wasn't at my most coherent, I would suggest. And come dawn on the last morning, we've come out of the hills of Maryland into basically ostensibly on Monday morning peak hour traffic in Washington, you know, and there's a 6-lane highway, and the support crew having to tell me, you know, you have to move across the lane, move to the middle. It all came at once in my head, and I couldn't understand anything. I couldn't comprehend what they were talking about. I was about 12 kilometres out from the finish, and suddenly I just had a mental implosion, stopped in the middle of the highway, walked across the highway. It's a bit like one of those, when you see those YouTube, you see the koala bear trying to cross the highway, and all the cars stopped, and you can see they're all thinking, what the... And I've just walked across, sat on a grassy knoll in a super centre car park, and just burst into tears. I just couldn't work out I couldn't understand anything. At that point, the time limit had not just crept up, it suddenly rushed up behind me. It's a bit like the blue line in swimming, but they're chasing world records. Well, the blue line
is behind you.
Right up my clacker. And there was an official nearby who was sort of mopping up after us, because I was the last rider on the road, and he suggested, he said the day before, so I could walk it in, suddenly he suggested I should hurry up. He said to one of the support crew, better get him back on the bike, because he's got about half an hour to finish.
Wow.
And credit to the crew, they did without panicking. They just fed me, reassured me, got back on the bike. I was totally unaware that I was that close to the time limit at that time, and then I rode as hard as I could to the finish. But it's funny how at the end of such a long ride, and you're on top of everything, it just goes to show the very last part, things could fall apart very rapidly.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we both love rosé. Congratulations for actually finishing it.
Thanks,
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank
And
you.
that's the reason why I've got him in here. So that was 4,000. How many Ks was it? 4,000?
It was 4,778 or something like that. You know.
Yeah, mine's only
rounded out at 4,000.
I'm only 1,700, so I should be okay. I hope. Unreal, mate. So yeah, I wanted to have a look at it. The first day is obviously where I'm inviting anyone and everyone who wants to ride with me to come from Sydney. We're going to leave from Heffron Park,
Yes.
the home of cycling in Sydney, and head down to Milton. It's 230 Ks and 2,579 metres of climbing, just down to Ulladulla. So it's a pretty long day.
Yes.
But we're going to start early because obviously, I'm trying to fit a lunch in the afternoon down at the Milton pub with Dino.
Yeah.
But I guess, the thing that I want to talk about where, as I said, 50 days out, for what would be some of your suggestions for between now and February 15th when I take off about, I guess, ramping up the training and then ramping it down? What's your...
I think the main thing, 50 days out, so you're looking at 7 weeks of training, take off, a week of, for tapering beforehand, so you're looking at 6 weeks, which sounds like a lot, but it goes very quickly. I think the main thing is that if you've got a structured program, which is consistent riding, and then this is me simplifying it very much, but then your long ride in a week, just to work on increasing that.
Yep.
Each time you do your long ride, and your medium distance ride, that sort of increases as well.
Yep.
I think, but the consistency of that is probably more important than suddenly just going out and saying, this weekend I'm going to do 250 Ks on a Sunday or 300 Ks,
yep, and
then suddenly be so fatigued for the next week.
Yes.
You can't do that. So you best just increase it. And I think that that's not just for your physical training, it's also for adapting your nutritional habits, and your body has to assimilate to being able to consume a large bunch of fuel,
yes,
whether it's in liquid form or literally, normal food. And also with ultra riding, you just can't bank on having gels.
Yep.
Like Race Across America, I probably had one gel maybe one time. I had to rely on proper food or liquid food.
Yep.
But I just think to allow your body to adapt,
yep,
to consuming that amount, that's a major thing too. It's not just the physical training.
And on your big days, how much food would you consume typically?
Well, like if I was to use like Race Across America, for example, but it is different because you're riding ostensibly on a 24-hour cycle, so yes, that'd be like 12,500 calories in a day.
Yeah.
But a day is not 10 hours; it's looking at 18 to 20 hours on the bike.
Yeah.
So that's kind of different. But I think you're still going to be looking at 5,000 to 7,000 calories with your ride broken down as it is.
Yep.
I'd say you'd be looking around that 5,000 a day, but you've got to start consuming those early in each day's ride, because
yes,
you can't just wait till you're hungry and then it's too late. And when you've got a multi-day ride like you do have, you're not just consuming for today, you're consuming for tomorrow, or you're consuming for when you finish that day's ride.
Yep.
You still got to have calories in you to help you recover, help your muscles recover as well. So
yeah, right,
it's a constant rolling over.
Yeah, okay. And then obviously, the thing that because I'm doing it on my own. So basically, that day one, I've got a small crew. I think you're going to come with me too on day one, aren't you?
Oh, look, I could
twist your arm.
I could be at Heffron Park for the first 2.2 Ks.
And then on Sunday morning, I'm actually meeting a group of people down on the beach at just near Ulladulla there. Some Ambos, some Fireys. We're going to do a mental health workshop down there on the beach. They're going to ride with me. And then day two is, where are we? Milton to Narooma. Yes. So slightly shorter, 142 Ks, a little bit less climbing. But also, obviously, I'm on my Pat Malone pretty much. I am, right? So I'm carrying most of my gear. I'm staying in hotels, people's houses. I've got quite a few of the local community centres that I've run so far have put me up in places and stuff, which is great. A little bit like the cycling back in the old days. Remember when you like to cycle, you go and stay in someone's house? Yes. Yeah. Which I love.
During the Herald Sun Tour.
Yeah.
The Sun Tour, the riders will be billeted.
Billeted, that's it, yeah.
They'll just give them a piece of paper after a stage and said, here's your address you get to. And they have to try and find their way to the house they're going to stay.
Yeah. So that's exactly it, right? And billeted. I was trying to remember that word today. So yes, that's basically what I'm doing. But the other thing that I've been looking is like when I'm planning some of these routes is fluids, right? Because I'll carry obviously 2 bidons, and then I've got this larger water on one side of the fork, and then on the other side I've got storage, and then I've got a bag on the back of the bike, like one of those big long bags.
Yes.
But obviously making sure that I've always got clean water, because I'm going to be going. It's obviously middle of Feb, but still going to be pretty hot. But there's obviously quite good stops along the way. Go through Bateman's Bay there and that sort of thing. So. But yeah, you need to be drinking a fair bit of water, hey?
Exactly. And I think, like you said, you're going through some good areas though, where you'll be able to refuel and restock on your fluids and food. But you just can't underestimate it. There'll be moments where you think, oh, I'm not hungry, I'm fine, but I'll bypass this place. But it's worth stopping quickly.
Yeah.
But don't stop for too long, because time will catch up pretty quick. Yeah. That'll be the challenge. Yeah. Because also you'll meet people along the way.
Yeah.
And I know you like to have a chat. So you may not get out of Heffron Park.
No, we still be there. Well, it's quite funny you say that, because one of my old mates down in Melbourne I was talking to this week, and he said, like, you are the most impatient person I've ever ridden with, because I hate stopping. Yeah, I actually hate stopping, and I said, and he goes, but he said the same thing. He goes, it's probably going to be the best thing for you, because like if you stop for too long, it makes it much harder to get back on some of these longer days. It does. Yeah. Like some of the days that I'm super not super scared of, but like this Narooma to Mallacoota is 3,300 metres of climbing. Quite a bit of gravel, which I love, but also, a really long day of just constant climbs. Not huge climbs, as you can see, they're not massive, but you're just constantly going up and down. That's going to be a pretty long day. And
you'll certainly be feeling it, day 3. Yep. You've got that cumulative fatigue from day 1 and 2.
Yep.
And the constant, rolling hills. You'll be, that third day will be a challenging day, not just because of the course, but it's going to be the first sort of phase you get through that fatigue, the cumulative fatigue, and you're going to mentally it'll be challenging as well, because you're thinking, gosh, this is only day 3. I've got all these other days still to get through.
Yeah.
But I think if you can manage yourself through that, your body will start to learn how it can, the cyclical nature of fatigue.
Yes, right.
You feel strong, and you feel a bit tired, then you feel absolutely screwed on day 3, and then you'll come out of it, and then you'll feel good again, and then you'll know what those phases are. But this will be a challenging day, I think, certainly for you, not just for the nature of the course with the hills, but also the fact that it's day 3 days in a row.
And in your in all of the events you've done, and in a lot of the training that you do, I mean, I've done lots of long days on bikes. I've done lots of long days on my own. But have you ever suffered from, whether it's loneliness or because that feeling of being on your own?
I have obviously in the Indy Pac, Indian Pacific wheel ride, and the isolation can be a friend in many ways if you're feeling positive. But if you're feeling fatigued, then you start to lose that confidence, because of the fatigue, and the isolation compound the negative thoughts. So I think I've certainly found on the Nullarbor, and it was night time, but there was a couple of moments there where you're alone and suddenly things are going wrong, and then you start to think, gosh, I am really isolated here by myself.
Yeah.
And the Nullarbor at night time can feel really isolated.
Yes.
Or you can feel isolated. So that's a mental sort of challenge. But I think it's about reinforcing your positive mindsets that you are here. I mean, you have communication setups for emergencies for a reason.
Yep.
You can always call a friend and just tell them, I'm feeling a bit lonely now too.
Yeah.
So I mean, never forget the communication that you have with people.
Yep.
And also, if you're always staying in regular contact with people, that doesn't just help them, it actually helps you.
Yes.
There is a subliminal peace of mind you get out of having told somebody where you are.
Yes. Yeah. Unreal. Yeah. So then, we continue down the coast. I think days 4 and 5 are a bit easier, and I think one of the things that I've what I've really loved been happening is so Malakuta to Marlow, which is 212 k's. So it's another, big day, 3,000 metres of climbing. But really, there's some really beautiful riding through this area. And in Marlow, I've got a community centre. They reckon they're going to have 150 people waiting for me. So that'll be pretty awesome. And then I'll do the Big Five mental health workshop, which I've had heaps of help from, actually, from Professor Nick Tidoff. He's been amazing, to be honest, and all the guys at Mindspot so far in supporting. And then, from on day 5 into Bairnsdale, I'm really looking forward to as well. In Bairnsdale, there's a really good long-time family friend, Bob Yates. Bob Yates he's a newspaper man. He's done in the Huonville Times, and the Bairnsdale Times or newspaper and stuff. But I've known him all my life. So going to be staying with him in Bairnsdale. And the rides that day is a little bit easier, like 123 k's. It'll feel like a ride to Larpa, I reckon, after the days previous.
Although you'll probably be feeling pretty tired still, because again it'll be day 5, and then that'll go past very quickly. Because you'll start to see, people and friends. So there will be energy lost in you engaging with people again too. So you may have to sort of, you can self-regulate that. You'll win that. But I mean, it's surprising how much energy talking when you're fatigued after
a long day. And then Bairnsdale to Port Welshpool, and then Port Welshpool to Phillip Island. So I'm really looking forward to that. Going to do a lap of the track, of course, and I've got then a whole heap of Melbourne mates are going to meet me on the morning, which is a Saturday morning in Phillip Island, and we're going to do the Phillip Island up to Port Melbourne. And then I'm pretty lucky, really, because I'm going to go across on the on the Spirit of Tasmania, and that doesn't leave until the following day. So we're going to do a lunch on the Sunday, do a little fundraiser, do a little chat, and then I'll be on the boat on the Sunday night, and then across and into Devonport, and then the final massive haul, which is, to be honest, I think I may have bitten off more than I can chew, but you could tell me your thoughts. I know guys that have done this. I've never done it myself. I have ridden 300 kilometres in one day before. I've ridden 330, but the last day, from Devonport, straight down the guts, up over through the Lakes region and down into Hobart. So 300 kilometres on the dot, 300.26 and 4,000 metres of climbing.
That'll be a huge day. I think I was telling you before that this route, when I did my Darwin to Adelaide ride in 21, originally it was going to be Darwin to Hobart, and this was the route that we had planned for the Hobart section. And there was a lot of time we spent in we spoke about the challenge of doing that ride at the end of what you've already done. And the timing of when do we start, what time of day, and very hilly, to say the least. As hill is probably not the right word, but and also the weather. Could be temperamental then too. So that'll be huge. I think maybe the best thing is just to, the old cliche, don't think of the whole 300 kilometres, just chip away, break this day down, and be ready to reevaluate if need be, because you don't want to, I know you'll want to finish it in that one day, but you don't have to finish it in that one day. But I know that you'll want to anyway, so you'll do everything you can.
I've got a couple of secret weapons. I've got a couple of mates, really good cycling mates, coming up from Hobart, meeting me in Devonport at the boat. So I've got some people that may ride with me. I've told them to bring hockey straps. They can push me. But we'll have a couple of people coming on. But I also have definitely resigned to the fact that it may actually be, after all that riding, may be a bit too much.
But you may be motivated by it too.
You
could be one of the days where I talk about the cyclical thing. You may be feeling good that day, and you'll be motivated by the fact of, one, it's going to be the last day if you do it a day, and two, what you're going to take out of what you've achieved so far for yourself, but also for the cause of it all too. You're going to tap into those energy systems from that, and I think that'll you'll be surprised what power that gives you in the last day.
Unreal.
It's a beautiful route. The whole, I mean, just looking at the photos there, not just on the map, but it's a fabulous route, and the memories you'll have of along the way will be 99.9% positive.
Yeah. I'm being amazed, mate, at just how well it's actually come together. Like, it was got up one morning, a bit shitty with how everything was going at the time. I've got that Fitziger t-shirt. F this shit, I'm going riding. And I was like, I'll just go and do it. I'll just go and ride. I'll go and do it, try and raise some money. And but more so, I really wanted to take the work that we've done at the foundation on a bit of a roadshow, I guess, and show the people and show as many communities down that coast that I can. My amazing pathway app that we've built, and obviously all the work that MindSpot do, and try and help out lots of people down the road as I go along. And then as I've been reaching out into different communities, like, I haven't had a no. In fact, like, one of the things was like, oh, that's going to make that day too short if I have to do a workshop there, I wasn't going to have enough time. But so I've had to change the route a couple of times to try and fit in, all the people that have been really positive to say, hey, come and see us, and we'll put together, our local community and come and talk about mental health. So, yeah, I'm excited, if not also a little bit nervous, but that's probably a good thing, right?
And you could be starting something now which you could continue in other directions.
Yeah.
Like, where does it stop? I guess much like the campaign for mental health awareness, that doesn't end, does it?
Nope.
So why does the ride have to end? This is just a part of it.
Yeah.
And Australia is such a massive place to such a massive country, obviously, but the variables of where you can take a ride to is such an exciting thing. And I know we have some dangerous roads, but there are also some very good roads, and if you plan properly, you get the right support systems in place, you can certainly mitigate the risks quite a lot.
Yeah, I've kept off a lot of the main highways and drags as much as I can. Obviously, there's a few parts where you're just going to have to be on there and trucking along. But
You have a gravel bike too, aren't you?
Yeah, so I'm basically going to ride my stalk gravel bike. I've got Pirelli Cinturatos, those sort of the all-road gravel tyres with the little sort of slick section in the middle, and then fully panning it up.
So I think that's kind of. I know everyone's got their different preferences and stuff, but I think I'll be talking about riding long distances. By having a gravel bike and options for tyres, you can ride a gravel bike with thinner tyres on the road, but you can put the bigger ones on for gravel. It gives you that option to change your route for safety reasons, and you should never compromise safety, and if a road is, even it could be a road that's generally always safe, but then it's a busy part of the day, you've got that option to change shift, and you never hesitate to do that if you can, without letting people know.
Yes, unreal. Well, you'll notice that I've wore a fairly bright coloured shirt. This is actually inspired by Rupe, very well known back in the day when you were doing with the Hawaiian shirts and the colourful shirts, and Tour de France and all that sort of stuff.
I've got to select 5 or 6 at the moment. I used to have 75 of them.
Did you?
Yeah, and it just in varying sizes and shapes. And I should say tastes and colours too, but I had to. It's almost hoarding them. It's just like 75 shirts.
You needed a cupboard just for your shirts.
Yeah, I took them to St Vincent de Paul's, and lo and behold, then I went back to see what happened to them, thinking, would they be on the rack? And they were on the rack, but they were selling for like $35 and $45 a pop.
You could have made a fortune.
I did a quick calculation. That was a lot of value I just threw away.
Absolutely. Should have signed them, mate.
I think that's one of them.
I was about to say, I got this from an op shop.
For $45?
Exactly. Well, mate, thank you. You're an absolute legend. I got a heap out of that. And,
I want to wish you all the best with it. It's a great initiative, and you're going to make a big difference. So, good on you, mate. You've already succeeded.
Thanks, mate.
Good on you.
Unreal.
Yeah.